are not precise as to when the first school was built in Austintown, but evidence shows that the first classes were held in log cabins, such as the one pictured here. These cabins were plain and crude with dirt floors, hard wooden benches, and a stove for heating in the middle of the room. In the early schools, a spelling book and Bible were used. This spelling dictionary, dated 1803, was brought to Austintown on horseback from New Jersey by Daniel Leach in 1819. Later, other books, including McGuffey readers, were used. These books stressed the 3 R's: reading, writing, and arithmetic. In the early 1800s, one-room schools were found at major crossroads in Austintown, including the Center, Old Town, West Austintown, Taylor's Corners, Stony Ridge, Perkins Corners, and other locations throughout the township. Most schools were built within walking distance of each student. On nice days, students could be seen leisurely walking to school. Mary Heineman, a teacher at the Center No. 1 school, is shown in the 1890s posing with her class. The Center No. 1 school, pictured in 1903, was located on Mahoning Avenue, just east of the center. In 1914, another class posed in front of the Center School. Miss Yeager, a teacher at the Center School, is shown with her class in 1915, the last year for the old wooden one-room school. Another one-room school could be found in West Austintown at Mahoning Avenue and Turner Road. Shown here is the West Austintown School in 1910. In the background is Turner Road and the Methodist Church. Butler DeCamp, a teacher at the West Austintown School, is pictured with his class in the late 1890s. The Stony Ridge School, located on South Turner Road at Fairview, also provided schooling for youngsters in West Austintown. Note the dress of the students, which is complete with high-top shoes. The Stony Ridge School building was moved to the corner of New Road and South Turner and converted to a residence. Miss Sarah Miles, who taught at the Taylor's Corners School, located on North Turner at Silica Road, was given a teaching contract in 1897. Miss Miles was paid $240 for 8 months' work, which included janitorial service. The 4-mile run area had a school located near the church. Note the outhouse to the right, a sight not uncommon near the early schools. Students who lived in the eastern part of the township attended the Perkins Corner School, located where Mahoning Avenue intersects Meridian Road. Other one-room schools include Smith's Corners, Skunk's Misery, Mexico, and the Grove School. Prior to 1916, township students who wanted to attend high school went to either Mineral Ridge or Rayen High School. Shown here is a graduating class at Mineral Ridge in the 1890s. In January 1916, the one-room school era came to an end when the Austintown Centralized School opened. In the early years, the horse-drawn wagons lined up outside the school to transport students to their homes. Dr. John Eshelman was appointed principal in 1917 and served until 1931. His term was interrupted in 1918 for service in World War I. The faculty, which has changed much over the years, is shown here during World War I. Shown here is the faculty in 1936. The student body has also changed much over the years, as evidenced by this photo taken in front of the school in 1918. And this one of the 1923-24 senior class. In 1924, the school was named Fitch School in honor of John H. Fitch, who donated 8 acres of land on Mahoning Avenue, where the original school was built. Fitch owned a farm of over 400 acres located near the center. His farm had several barns, a lot of pasture land, and a variety of animals. Shown here with 2 of Fitch's horses is Charles Baker, who worked on the farm. John Fitch, together with Levi Crum, operated a general store at the center. Later, Fitch went into the coffee and dry goods business in Youngstown, where he made a substantial amount of money. Fitch built this house on North Canfield-Niles Road near the center, which he used primarily as a summer residence until his death in 1919. Another major contribution of the Fitch family was the donation of over 26 acres of land on Lake Erie, which was presented to the YMCA and named Camp Fitch. The original school housed grades 1 through 12. As the school population increased, many additions were made to the building, including an auditorium, gymnasium, cafeteria, and several classrooms. Motorized buses replaced the horse-drawn wagons in the 1920s. The original Fitch building is now the Austintown Middle School. When a new high school was built, the Board of Education decided to transfer the name Fitch to the new building, which was officially named Austintown Fitch High School. The first Fitch yearbook, published in 1924, had information on sports, the faculty, class activities, the academic program, and was 32 pages in length. The 1980 yearbook shown here was 280 pages in length and cost $12. The school newspaper, once called the Tattletale, was first published in the late 1930s. Now named the Talon, the school newspaper is published regularly and sold to the student body. Austintown has always had outstanding students, many of whom have gone on to become leaders in their respective fields. This was the National Honor Society in 1943. The Fitch Band, shown here in the 1950s, has been performing since 1933. The first director was Kenneth Evans. Since the early years, sports have been an important part of the school program. The boys' basketball program started in 1916. Shown here is the 1924 team, which finished with a record of 9 wins and 5 losses. In 1931, Fitch captured the Ohio Class B high school championship. Pictured here are the members of the team, which included, standing left to right, Coach Harold Rickert, Heston Bishop, Stuart Wagner, Paul Schmidt, Robert Ish, Paul Zimmerman, manager, seated left to right, William Beekler, Elmer Bokish, Dominic Bertolini, Captain Thomas Hood, Bernard Ruling, and Ed Kravick. Girls' sports have also been a part of the sports program since the early years. Girls' basketball began in 1920. Shown here is the 1927 team, which won the Mahoning County Championship. Football has been a recognized sport at Fitch since 1928. Shown here is the 1929 squad, coached by Harold Rickert. Fitch won several football championships in the 1930s. The 1939 team, shown here, won the championship in the Trumbull, Mahoning, and Columbiana County League. Irvin Huck Holdash, an outstanding player from the 1947 team, later won All-American honors at North Carolina. The old stadium, located behind Austintown Middle School, was built by WPA during the Depression and served as Fitch's home field for many years. When the new high school opened in 1967, a modern stadium was also built to accommodate close to 10,000 fans. The football coaching staff, shown here in 1955, has changed much over the years. Cross country, a recent sport, gained recognition when Austintown won the state AAA championship in 1971, 1972, and again in 1975. As the population of Austintown increased after World War II, a new elementary school was opened in the Wycliffe area in 1949. The Wycliffe School was named after probate judge Clifford Woodside. Originally, the building taught 400 students in grades 1 through 6. Judge Woodside, who was active in community affairs, built this beautiful home on South Meridian Road in 1926. As the population continued to grow in the Wycliffe area, another school had to be built in 1954. Davis Elementary School, located on Maple Avenue, was named in honor of Judge John W. Davis because of his interest in youth. Judge Davis served as Mahoning County probate judge from 1913 to 1926. Again, in the mid-1950s, the population grew and shifted westward. Yet another school opened in 1955 on a 10-acre site at the corner of Northwest and Fitch Boulevard. The school, Lloyd Elementary School, was named after the Lloyd family who donated the land. The Lloyds owned a large farm on State Route 46 near the Trumbull County line and operated a meatpacking business, Lloyd Packing, near the family residence. R. Walton Shively served as the school's first principal, retiring in 1979. The next school to be opened was Linkirk Elementary, which first opened its doors to students in 1958. Lynn Kirk was named after the two streets, Evelyn and Kirk Roads, located nearby. Frank Old School opened in January of 1961, serving grades 6, 7, and 8 with an original enrollment of 810 students and a staff of 27 teachers. Frank Old served as a junior high until 1968 when it was converted to a middle school. The school was named after Frank L. Old, a longtime Austintown resident, township trustee, and school employee who was active in community affairs. Old, whose family had lived in Austintown since the early 1800s, lived on a 27-acre farm in West Austintown. Eggland Snell served as the school's first principal, retiring in 1972. In 1962, Watson Elementary School opened its doors for students from kindergarten through the 6th grade. Watson School was named in honor of Charles G. Watson, founder and president of the Youngstown Welding and Engineering Company, and active in the Austintown community. Austintown can be proud of the service rendered to the schools over the years by many individuals. Shown here is Marcus McAvoy, who served as superintendent of schools from 1946 to 1959. And R.E. Bookwalter, who was principal from 1932 to 1952. John Schuler served as high school principal in the 1950s and then as superintendent of schools from 1959 to 1969. Stuart G. Wagner was appointed by the Board of Education to succeed Schuler, and he remained as superintendent until he retired in 1974, when Merlin Valleau Jr. became superintendent. Today, the schools are administered by a team consisting of Merlin Valleau, superintendent, Bernard Dunnan, assistant superintendent, and Dr. James Baker, director of instruction. Over the years, Austintown schools have been blessed with many hard-working, dedicated, and concerned Board of Education members. The 1964 board posed for this photo. The Board of Education, which is elected by the people, is responsible for the staffing of schools, maintenance of the buildings, the budget, and many other important details. Shown here is the board in 1960. The current board consists of Dr. David Ritchie, Ron Gerberry, Robert Kloss, John Dick, and Earl Yost. The treasurer is Robert Williams. Austintown has 8 public schools today, which include 1 high school, 2 middle schools, and 5 elementary schools. The Austintown local schools educating today's students for tomorrow's world.